Okay. Okay, great. Just okay, just going to. Okay. Let me just. Please, I think because this is a public event, the restriction, there is a little restriction they put on it. Just confirm that my voice is audible, that I am audible enough. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
Oh, okay. Then, gentlemen and ladies, please, you can also use the chat if for any reason that you cannot hear me. Just because this is a public one, we are trying to restrict it. So if you cannot hear me, please just put up a chat. It will make sure that that information is communicated. So thank you so much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Tekedia Capital Open. My name is NDBC Kekwe. I'm speaking today from United States of America. So over the next few minutes, we are going to have a conversation on business opportunities and growth vectors in Nigeria and Africa. We do this largely every quarter from Tekedia Capital. It's more of just coming together as a community and then sharing insights, perspective, construct, model, processes that we can actually co-learn in that process. We can advance the mission of firms and deepen whatever that we are doing. So just to explain here, we really want you to understand what we do in Tekedia Capital. But most importantly, we also want to share what we look for to a large extent whenever we have Naira, Kobo, dollar to actually invest in companies. But this is not going to focus on investment. Rather, we want to have a thought leadership conversation, looking at the basic fundamentals of business systems. And hopefully through that, we can advance whatever we have in mind. So let me take it by taking you to the very important reason why we are actually having this conversation. The very important thing here is that the world is full of frictions. The world is full of challenges. The world is full of problems. And we do know that if the world is full of frictions, that means that there are also going to be opportunities in the world. So frictions are the challenges that customers have. Frictions are the problems that customers have. Frictions are those perturbations that when you wake up in the morning, you're looking for where to use your toothbrush, use whatever you're using. Somebody has to make that toothbrush. Somebody has to make that toothpaste. You go into a house, you sleep. Somebody has to help you build our house. And practically, when we wake up in the morning to the time we go to bed, we need a lot of things to support our lives. Those things are actually going to be built by somebody. That means that whether it is hunger, whether it is clean water, whether it is transportation, these are all frictions. So every part of the world has friction. You know, Nigeria may have the friction of lack of electricity, which is a very big one. But if you go to some parts of the United States, they kill a lot of people there with guns. And those are also friction. So at the end of the day, how are you going to solve and fix those frictions? Interestingly, the capacity to actually go and fix those frictions, they provide opportunities in the marketplace. So that means that if we want to improve our society, if we want to improve our communities, we need to solve those problems. And by going into solving those problems, opportunities abound. So we have noted that across human history, one thing has been supremely great in fixing those frictions. We said that thing is what we call the market system. And that market system specifically, one species within that market system, we call it company. What is it that is there? What happens here is this. For demand, the customer. For supply, the producer. For them to come into a near perfect equilibrium point for transaction to take place. In other words, for them to have the capacity to actually have a relationship business-wise, there needs to be many things that need to happen. So let's just assume, I like to use this example, that Ndubisi arrives in the city of Lagos and Ndubisi has no family member and Ndubisi is very hungry. And there is nothing like a business called restaurant business. That means that restaurant has not been invented. Nobody has encapsulated the imagination that somebody can actually have a restaurant. So if we assume in our world that in the city of Lagos, there is no restaurant, and Ndubisi doesn't have a family member that he can actually go to his or her house to eat, you agree that Ndubisi has only one option, which is to start knocking at people's door, looking for someone who has food to serve. The same time Ndubisi is knocking at doors, looking for somebody who has food to serve, somebody possibly has food. But that person has to expect and hopefully that Ndubisi will knock at his or her door. We said that a system like that is inherently imperfect in nature because of a lot of information asymmetry. Information asymmetry is nothing but a jargon in business. We say that the consumer has information because the producer does not have. And the producer has information the consumer does not have. And because both of them do not have the same level of information at parity, it is going to be extremely difficult for them to actually come together for business transaction to take place. So now Ndubisi is hungry. Ndubisi doesn't know who has food. And the person who has food doesn't know that Ndubisi is hungry. So what happens? I keep knocking at the doors looking for a miracle that somebody has food to serve. And he or she keeps waiting in her house or his house looking for Ndubisi to discover him or her. It's possible that at the end of the day, I may knock at the first 5, 10 doors. I can't discover that person who has food. So that system is unproductive. So what happens? The person who has that food, maybe Mama Kemi, she said, no, let me go and set off a business. And that business becomes Mama Kemi's Restaurant Limited. The purpose of Mama Kemi's Restaurant is no more to just wait in her house, looking for somebody to discover her, but Mama Kemi has set up a company, a business, an enterprise, that the next time somebody is hungry, like in Ndubisi, he does not need to be knocking at the doors. Rather, Ndubisi goes to a business, goes to an enterprise. And that enterprise is providing one solution: food, to overcome the frictions of hunger which people have. So by providing that vehicle, that instrument, that place we call restaurants, Mama Kemi is solving the friction of hunger. So now Ndubisi is hungry, Ndubisi goes to a restaurant instead of knocking at people's door. You can see the power and the mission of farms. You can see the power of the market system by inserting that business, inserting that company within the market system. Mama Kemi has been able to reorganize architecture, the framework that makes it possible that the system has become more efficient. You know what happens? You go there now, she serves you and all the good stuff. And you now have to compensate her. That compensation is what we call revenue. Revenue is nothing but a compensation that companies earn as a result of helping to fix frictions that we have in the market. In other words, after eating that food, you give Mama Kemi money. That money you're giving her is her revenue. And what is that revenue? Revenue, you are compensating her for the food she has provided by overcoming that friction of hunger that you have. This is the fundamental rudiment of everything that we do in the market. This is the foundation of the market system. And the question now becomes, if you have to provide that capacity to fix that friction that exists in the market, you need to also have capabilities that you have to acquire, so that you can actually do that very well. So Mama Kemi needs to know how to make good food. That is going to be one of the capabilities. You need the capabilities. You need to deploy the capabilities to create products and services that can overcome frictions which are in the market. That is the friction of hunger Mama Kemi has accumulated how to make good food. But you can also have the friction of financial services. Just think about it. Somebody has 1 million naira and you're looking for somebody, you lend that money. in Sokoto, got 1 million naira. You don't know what to do with it because you don't really need that money at that time. But you don't want to keep that money without earning anything. Let's assume there is nothing like banking. Let's assume the banking sector has not been invented. The propensity that you may just have that 1 million looking for somebody you can trust, give him that money so that that person returns 10% interest rate at the end of the year. It's really very, very hard because you don't want to give that money and you lose your principal, and then they'll start telling you story. But at the same time, you can't find somebody to lend. There is also somebody who runs a poultry business in Calabar who needs 1 million naira to expand his poultry business. He's looking for you who has 1 million, and you're looking for that businessman in Calabar from Sokoto so that you can give him 1 million naira. But you, both of you cannot find and discover each other. We say that information asymmetry problem has broken the ability for the market to attain an equilibrium point. And whenever that happens, bad things happen because what happens here, no transaction will take place. But the group of young ladies say, we're going to start off a bank. They start off a bank. They say, you bring your 1 million you have in Sokoto, give it to us. We'll pay you that 10% interest you're looking for. And we promise you on the regulatory regime in the country that your money is safe. They take that 1 million, lend it to that businessman in Calabar for his poultry business at interest rate of 17%. The delta of 7 is a compensation, which is the revenue they have earned in quote for overcoming that friction of hunger. Sorry, that friction of banking services that both of you have there. So that is what it is. But for them to build a banking solution, they still need to have capabilities. And that means that they need to understand how to run a bank, how to handle customer service, how to run treasury services, how to run credit services. Those are capabilities. We now to ask, what are the levels that we have in the frictions? Who can build that product or that service? And what are the capabilities that individual or group of people have to actually be the people who can create the products and services to go into the market and overcome that friction? That is a fundamental element and what we look for in Tekedia Capital. And we now have to look at so many things. And one of those things is, I believe that the supremacy of data is absolute. What do we mean by that? That instead of looking at innuendos or the feelings, human element, we say, what is it that data is telling us? It takes you back to the Greek philosophers. During the debate of the material component of the universe, what our world is made up of. And during that debate, there were so many postulations. Tells water, Heraclitus, fire, but Pythagoras said the world is nothing but numbers. The universe is ruled by numbers. The number rules the universe. That means that everything can be understood through numbers because our world is made up of numbers. And if you took what they usually call GST, logic and philosophy in the university system, I think it offers to practically every field of endeavor in most African universities. You would have come to this conclusion that if the world is nothing but numbers, the business of humanity is nothing but numbers. And what that means here is that if you understand the numbers around restaurant, you are going to be a better restaurant entrepreneur. Mama Kemi will be a better restaurant entrepreneur if you understand the numbers around the restaurant business. That means how many people are coming to the shop every day, what time of the day do they come? She may realize that, oh, 90% of my customers, they actually come between 11:30 to 3 p.m. And she can say, oh, I don't need to open before 10 a.m. because I just have very limited number of people. And I also don't want to open from 6 p.m. above because, hey, nobody's coming there. So what happens there by using numbers, she will now know when she has to concentrate her time because that is the time the customers are coming. And the young ladies that started banking, they can also look at it. Oh, the customers that keep coming here to take loan, they are the people in agriculture because that's where we are. I mean, we don't have to develop capabilities in mining because nobody has even come here for a mining loan. So what I'm saying here is that the numbers, an understanding of numbers will actually help to build that business. That means that the capabilities in the market system that we are looking for is how is that business governed on the constructs or that Pythagorean postulation that the universe is ruled by numbers. Want to see the numbers around your business, your sector, whatever you're doing. And of course, to a large extent, we also look at the invisible hand. If you go back to Adam Smith in economics, he's talking about the invisible hand. It's like, how can the free market system, how can it just work in that particular place? I mean, it's not everything that you can control because crazy things happen in government, but to a large extent, we want to see, is this really a place where if we have the best possible idea that the market system will allow it to operate? Or is this a place where when you go in, one person will put a phone call from one terrible place in the government, and all of a sudden you are out of business. So we want to say, is it a battle that we can actually take? Or is the best idea going to win? We pay attention to those things because it's not every fight that you actually have to begin. The ability to know the fights you can just don't start is actually wisdom. But when we now see that this is not overly regulated, that this is actually something, if we do it well, opportunities will abound, young people will do what they do, and then we can also capture value as a business, we would like to support. But if this is one where we don't see that invisible hand coming at play, we typically would like to pass. So we have these constructs that the visible hand, the unseen forces that actually make that efficient economic system happen to a large extent. If we can converge with numbers, typically nations begin to rise. But you cannot necessarily, as a small business investor, think that you can change a country or you can change a community or you can change the world. No. What you need to do is, how can this thing work for me? So, okay. So, sorry, just in a note here, I think it's not for me. Right. So we pay attention to those factors. And when we pay attention to those factors, we also take into things that have happened. Just go back to the African market history here. You see that just about 20 years ago, they said that Africa was hopeless in a way. But the trajectory that we have seen, that as the economy opens up to fair, decent competition, not that the economy itself is fair to a large extent, there are still a lot of forge factors. But what I'm trying to say here is that in all means, we are seeing that as they open things up, giving opportunities, removing those bottlenecks, you can move from a hopeless to an aspiring, to a rising, to an aspiring, to a one that everyone wants to come to Africa. So that is the foundational validation that the thesis that the future will be full of abundance is assured. Because we believe that things will get better. And we are optimists because you cannot really invest into businesses if you do not have within your thesis that the future is actually going to be better. And because you think that you can become part of the people who will help to build that future. So, and there are real practical cases. You see all these startups, they have done remarkably well. And there are all species that are being created every month, and they are coming. And they are really improving lives in a way that in some cases we may not see them because so many of them do not have a lot of big pulpits, microphone to evangelize what they do. But we know they have impacts. They're actually helping to improve our quality of lives. So as they're improving the quality of lives, they still have, of course, a lot of work to do. So for us in Tekedia Capital, we also want to make friends with people like these companies, and we like to participate in that process. And over time, we have already identified important things that need to happen for us to have that friendship with those companies. Of course, if you studied economics in secondary school, You must have seen that some of these are pillars upon which that investing relationship and partnership can happen. We want to see companies that are built on knowledge. The knowledge of a farm is the most competitive vehicle in that particular company, just like the knowledge of a country is actually what drives a nation. You cannot have a country that is going to be, of course, better than its capacity to create knowledge. So we want to see knowledge also win that spirit of entrepreneurial capitalism, where people are taking risks to fix frictions, which is the market, and then we provide the capital. Labor is also key, and there are young people that can actually support whatever that you are trying to do. When those pillars are there, we now believe that fixing that friction that you want to fix in that local economy will now become possible. And these things are all organized around three things. We see the people. Who are the people? Who are the innovators that are actually going to do what they say they will do? And what are the tools they are bringing to do? And what are the processes they have built? These tripod, these three elements, these three cardinal things, when they are optimized, we become very, very excited. Because the result is that when they do come to pass, we can see emergence of category king companies. Category king companies are companies that dominate, which when I say dominate, it's not using asymmetric illegal dominance. We're talking about market force driven competitive positioning where you assume dominance because you are the best, free and fair. Nobody, even your competitors, will respect you because you have won through the right means. When they become innovative, they are pragmatic, they're obsessed with customer service, and they deliver value to the extent that they are no more just consumers and customers. They make fandom out of customers. That means they are customers that they are fans. When a company can get to the level of fandom, where your customers are your fans, it means that you are going to rule your market. We like to see how that in relationship, how that constellation of the people, the tools, and the processes can now make it possible. When we see that even within a week, we've already given that company money. So we like to see the people that will help to bring things together. We want to see the tools they are coming up. We want to see the processes they're coming. Of course, the idea, the friction they are going to solve is always there in our mind. Then, of course, over time, we've also seen some trajectories. Like you go back to Nigeria in the 1990s, it was all about junior generation banks. They were the entities that ruled that generation. We got the era of voice telephony when MTN, Econet, all of them came in 2000. Then in 2010s, we got into the mobile internet era where we now turned our phones into mobile device connected to the internet. Now, the era of application utility, that's where we are. We are going to see the combinatorial moment where mobile internet, AI, technology software systems are all going to infuse to help us to solve problems in agriculture, energy, healthcare, real estate. Just think about it. But what is going on here is no more just having the mobile internet. It's not more just having the voice telephony. It's about how do you now use those capabilities to now go into these sectors and begin to reshape whatever that is there. And you can now pioneer new industrial categories and change the world for the better. This is the opportunity space. And we are agnostic of location. We are agnostic of sector. We are agnostic of anything. The only thing that we are focused on, how can we fix friction? And the society will reward us because we have done good for the society. So anything in agriculture, anything in energy, anything in real estate, we don't care. The most important thing, it has to be power on that postulation from Pythagoras that data, which is digital systems, must also play a significant role. So we want to see how can technology play a role in that? Because if you go back to history, from the time of Abacus to the time of slide rule, to the time of difference engine, union, to the invention of transistor, to the invention of von Neumann architecture, to the time that they invented transistors integrated circuits in 1957 by Robert Noyce and Intel gas, all of things, everything that we can come down, they're just trying to make sure that these digital technologies and technologies that can actually make them happen, that they are simplified in ways that we can apply them into industries. So we used to be talking about, hey, computers. Yes, the computers are now, to a large extent, being embedded with something so amazing. So just looking at it without wasting time here, this has been a trajectory, how many things happen in our world. But the key thing here is, this is where it is now. Invention era to innovation era, to the accelerated society era. But we are not all that fixated with this thing called AI. What we are fixated is, how can you solve problems that customers have? How do you fix the friction in the marketplace? We acknowledge that not every part of the world is at the same level, is at the same rate of development. America, possibly, they have fixed electricity problem 100 years ago, but Nigeria may still be struggling with the electricity problem. Just like, you can look at mechanization of farms. The British did it more than 200 years ago. We are not yet there. Places like Ghana, places like Kenya, we're still doing associated agriculture. So that they are here does not necessarily mean that even if you're here, there's no opportunity. For us, what we are looking at here is, within that space and time, what are the prevailing opportunities in that market? There's this company we invested in, Congo DRC. So excited about it. VotePay, the founders, one from Google, one from ABM. If that company is established in Nigeria, well, there's no way we'll give them money, because we feel that Nigeria has advanced more than the states of what they're trying to do. But because this is Congo, they're actually pioneering something that has been in existence in Nigeria more than 8-10 years ago. So the point is this: somebody must have done it in Ghana, but somebody has not done it in Guinea. Somebody must have done it in Guinea, but somebody has not done it in Kenya. So that point is that the progress of societies, that element is not uniform across all visas. So you can see the changing world of knowledge, a lot of ideas here, but lack of products and services. But you can come here, the innovation era, now we are moving into a state that it's so fast, and better opportunities also going to be there. I don't like to put that in a plot here, but I say that the world lives here. We don't really want companies that are stuck in this era. Even as a startup, we want you to think how you can move out of these paralysis into a world that is full of growth. Africa, Nigeria, specifically, we are all still here. We are still flattened. Population is increasing, but our economic output remains in a state of stasis. We are not growing. And because we are not growing, as more people are born, the Malthusian challenge becomes evident. That if the population increases, when economic opportunity does not increase, per capita income begins to decelerate. And when per capita income begins to decelerate, there will be chaos, tension, protest, chaos everywhere, because the little economic opportunity, more people are sharing it. I recall in 2009, I wrote an article to one of the top leading journals, actually a paper. They rejected it because I said that by 2027, there will be pockets of riots and protests across Africa, unless there's going to be a fundamental redesign in Africa's capacity to drive growth and prosperity. But I do not believe them, because there's no way they will know whether what I wrote will be right or not. But I was so confident that without the capacity to build pillars, without interest to build pillars, I would note that we will just keep growing without economic opportunity. So this happened many centuries ago, places like China, United States, a time when for decades and centuries, the GDP of the United States, whatever it was called it, was start and just not growing, even though the population was increasing. People who lived here were richer than people who richer, with people who lived here, because more people lived here than people that lived here. But even though the economic opportunity was at the same. And as Reverend Marthas noted, that when such things happen, when food production Opportunities are growing in arithmetic progression with population growing in geometry, many, many things. So everything that is happening with the Kenyan protests or even what they are saying to do in Nigeria, these things are all predicted. So we want to see, besides the national level paralysis, are there going to be companies that can actually now turn around and own their future, just like America and China? They were able to leave this era of stagnation into an era of opportunity. And they now move from, I've called this inventive society era, into an innovation society era, where they were able to create products and services that can now go into the market to fix frictions and advance prosperity and share prosperity of the people. So we want to see, how do you now turn those ideas you have into products and services, and then your company can move from idea into an age of growth and into an age of opportunity. And as we do that, Tekedia Capital looks at these things. We're seeing opportunities in this area. First and first, we want to see that any opportunity, unfortunately, we're looking at, they have to digitally take enabled. And also, if you are coming from any part of Africa, we want businesses that can earn a small foreign exchange. That means you just have to, if you're living in Kenya, you have to find a way to sell people outside Kenya. If you're living in Nigeria, you have to find a way to sell to people outside Nigeria. It doesn't have to be United States. It doesn't have to be Europeans or market. It could actually be selling to somebody in Benin Republic, which is Cotonou. So these are basically benchmark. We want to see an element of technology in whatever you're doing. We also want to see your market. The more you have that external market component, the more confidence that the risk we are taking will not be bounded by whatever happens in your local economy. So if you're in agriculture, which we like, especially companies in the agriculture space, we've invested a lot of companies in agriculture, like Winnish Farms, which is doing amazingly well. It just expanded into East Africa recently. Vexac, which is amazing. It's one of the #1 leading poultry agriculture businesses in Nigeria. Winnish is so big in northern part of the country. So we like it. But these are companies that are not just built for the local market. Then we're also looking at ability to buy in group. This is one area we are looking at here. Think about it. If you go into a market and let's say you have 5 women that want to buy rice, each one has, let's say, 5,000 naira. I don't know, maybe a bag of rice now is 100,000 naira, let's assume. And you have, let's say, 10 women that want to buy rice, each has 10,000 naira. If they go and buy rice individually, they will still go home with rice. But imagine if you have a software that makes it possible for 10 of them within 10 minutes can congregate and buy a bag of rice, and they will share that bag of rice among themselves. What happens at the end of the day? They will get more rice for that 10,000 naira more than they would have gotten individually. So the point is, how can you use technology to create micro clusters across communities? We have some great ideas how this thing can work. And we put some of these things paper, and then you can also have a code room element to it where they know where they can come to collect those things once those things have been bought, and then give them about a window of 24 hours to come and pick up, so that you are not just selling only, let me say, only not perishable things. So they can buy plantain in bulk, they can buy things in bulk, and you give them 24 hours to come and pick it up. You know, they can pick those things in the church, they can pick it at in the mosque, they can pick it at place of work, they can also pick it at eateries. But you give them a window. Hey, you live in this estate. And in this estate, let's say Tuesday, between 12 noon to 2 p.m. Please let us know. We're going to look for people who want to buy rice. Contribute your own 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. We amortize it and divide it for a bag of rice. If you are coming back from work or wherever, look at the gate man and just ask him for your own portion because we divided it. I mean, we believe that, things are very hard, but technology innovation like that in this period of scarcity can pick up. But there are so many things that one has to put into, because you have to make sure that logistics, security, and because it has to involve food, so you don't want to manage it anyhow. You want to make sure it's safe so that people don't get into trouble. So we're also looking at scalable business serving the diaspora. I mean, diaspora we consider is the largest market in Africa now. I mean, because it's just the largest market. There's no other way of saying it. And there are guys living in Canada, living in US, living in Europe, and increasingly, most of them continue to look home. How are you going to serve them? Is it that you're producing wheat? Is that launching food, or you are teaching? Some of them want their children to be taught Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, or whatever. Is there any business that you can do that once in a week, you can teach your children Igbo? How do you scale that business? We think that thinking about diaspora as a market, as big as or even bigger than the Lagos. In Nigeria today, we have really core 4 markets. We have Lagos, we have Port Harcourt, we have Abuja, and then we have Kano. Then beside, underneath, you have Onitsha, you have Ibadan. And then continue to now get into Aba, Maiduguri, and other markets. Diaspora is as big as Lagos. But you need to now figure out how to unlock that diaspora market. We think that businesses, there are about 2 companies that we are exploring. We like what they are doing, but we are looking for companies in this space across different markets, because this is the most sustainable market you have now. Even the market in Lagos, the opportunity there is shrinking because, I mean, people are living there and they're living on a deteriorating inflation economy. So in sourcing, if you take into consideration, you see that most Western economies, this era of AI is producing a lot of data. People are really having difficulties now managing all this. So accounting companies are also looking for people that help them process data, look at the bank accounts, help. AI is doing, but AI is also creating more work. You know, all these prompts, actuary, insurance. There is an opportunity that you have a place in Nigeria where there is internet access, and you can remotely provide these insourcing data processing services to European and American companies. We think that is a huge, massive opportunity, because instead of them paying, let's say, $30 per hour to somebody in America, they can pay someone in Nigeria, let's say, even $3 or $5 per hour, depending. And if that is the case, they save massive amount of money, and that person will still feel that he's earning. So that is a business opportunity that is going to, Indians are doing so well on this, but we think that it's not only going to be Indians that will take advantage of it. I've already noted that we are looking at markets where in your native country, your local country like Nigeria, we want to see a US selling to other parts. In the last 9 years in Nigeria, the CFA franc, which is the currency they use in Togo, currency they use in Benin Republic, which is where you have Cotonou, that currency has gained 10x against the Naira. In other words, in 2015, one CFA franc was 25 kobo. Today, one CFA franc is about 2 Naira 50 kobo. What that means is that even the currency they use in Cotonou has gained 10x against Naira. Naira has even done better against the dollar, because dollar has gained about maybe highest, let me say 3x. But these African currencies are gaining 10x, like Kenyan shilling is about 9x, South African rand is about 6x, and I think 6x, 6x. So what that means is these are actually micro USD entities, because that's hard currency. So don't just think about it's only British pounds and European Union, Euro, and so even Cotonou is strengthening 10x against the Naira in less than a decade. So how do you export to that? Because they have a lot of economic stability there. So, and then you need to now look at these vectors. We don't play with your marginal cost. Marginal cost, as you go back to elementary economics, is the cost of serving creating additional product units or serving additional customer, whatever that you are doing, just the marginal of that one unit. And if you do not have an improving marginal cost in a business, you can't scale. So we like to see, as you are architecting that business, how are you going to keep improving your marginal cost? Marginal cost is made up of largely transaction costs and distribution costs. You go back to O.A. economics textbook of secondary school. Now, we want to see if your transaction and distribution costs, as you increase the number of users in your business, you increase the number of users, your revenue is growing up, your fees, is your marginal cost, which is a distribution amount, is it going to stay a little flat or lower? If you cannot achieve that, we will not invest in that business because that business can only grow, it cannot scale. And when a business is growing, it means you are growing cost, even as you are growing users, but that means that you are not going to be a very profitable business. So we try a lot to model our marginal cost efficiency within your business model to see how. We're very lucky we've not had a lot of problems in our business because we take a lot of intellectual rigor in looking at the businesses we invest, because the way a business is organized tells us whether that business can even go far. And if we see that the organization of that business will not improve with growth for the marginal and the distribution, the transaction and distribution costs, we don't get close to it. And in a way, we tell you why, but of course, we don't want to discourage you because, hey, you can just still go and do what you want to do. Most times, we're actually the one that will be wrong. So this is how it is. In elementary economics, when output increases, you want to see the cost per unit for a product, which is the marginal cost for the extra units to go down. That's what happens. We say that we've attaining economies of scale. But over time, as the output increases, instead of this economies of scale going low, it begins to go up. You have exceeded your marginal efficiency here, which is here. You shouldn't exceed here because any growth that is more than here means that that business begins to deteriorate. Tekedia Capital would like to model, okay, how is the structure of this business going to be? Does it mean that as it continues to grow, that is going to hit an inflation point on the marginal cost? If we see that, we need to ask, do we exit when it's getting here, or is our business model meaning that we have to stay? We need to understand it, because if we don't understand it, we will not even know the terminal enterprise value of that company, because a company can actually be doing well early, but over time, because of deteriorating marginal cost, that company will begin to lose capacity to actually do well. But if you see a company like this, which is the digital enabled companies we like, when the output increases, the marginal cost keeps going down. In the further mathematics, they call it asymptotic relationship. That is that relationship where as you go towards infinity, within the final state, this curve will not touch. That means that it keeps getting closer, but it will never touch it. That means that the marginal cost of adding an additional user keeps going low. That means this business is going to be extremely marvelously profitable, and it can scale unbounded. The scalable advantage is one. That means that you can just, to a large extent, I'm not pretending, our goal is to serve society and also to make money. We're going to make a lot of money on this business in a very, very short time because it can actually grow without a lot of barriers. Now, we also do one thing. I'm just rounding up here so that we can go into question and answer, and think, yeah, we're going to round up soon, just maybe 3-4 minutes. We also like to invest in businesses at the edges of the smiling curve. This is value, extra value you capture. This is the positioning of companies. If you are here at the center, you get value, you capture extra value, but you do a lot of work. You don't get as much value as those at the edges. So if you give us a bank, and just a bank, and you give us, let's say, a company that is involved in origination and creation, or a company that is involved in discovery and aggregation, we like companies at the edges of the smiling curve. Our postulation here is that they capture extra value, even though They don't do a lot of heavy lifting. I mean, people, we are not here for patriotism so that you don't accuse us who is going to do this. No, just understand this is the area we want to play. That does not mean that there are not people that are not interested in this. They're only interested in the ones at the center. But we are telling you what we like. It doesn't mean that we are better or not. It's just that this is the way we run our model. So if you get 20,000 naira in your bank, in Unity Bank Nigeria, possibly nobody's going to take any money. But if a fintech helps you to collect that 20,000 naira, they take some money. What has happened here is they are situated at the origination and creation, discovery and aggregation, and they charge fees, they make money, while these guys actually make them possible. And these guys, most likely, they don't generate a lot of profit. And even though they do a lot of investment, that will power everything. So you go across industries, this is very common. We like to play at the edges of this money curve. So we look at that business pitch. We say, where is this company playing in this sector? If we think that you are playing here, we pass. But if you are playing here and also playing here, you are even amazed. It's just like when you look at Access Bank Nigeria, which is here. It has is it hydrogen or whatever they call it. They also, you look at Wema Bank Nigeria, which is here. They have Alert, which is here. Here you have all these fintech subsidiaries that banks have provided. Initially, the banks were here in Nigeria. They were just dumb terminals. They're powering all these great companies like Valve, InterSweet Valve, and FloraWave and Co. But now they are here and they are also positioning themselves here. That makes them even more amazing. So we can ask you, you are here in your industry. Do you plan to be here? Because we don't just want to give you money and you are building wealth for other people to extrapolate. So the last page is this one. The last slide. You need to solve this equation, which is innovation is equals to invention plus commercialization. We respect your ideas, your knowledge, but we are more interested in the products and the services. You could be a Zen master, be extremely brilliant or whatever, but we are only interested in the products you have in the market. Because we are reminded, looking at this curve here, that knowledge really without innovation means nothing. If you go back to human history, the people who lived here were the smartest, some of the smartest people in the world at it. Were smart. They were smarter than us. The foundational construct of physics and chemistry, the beautiful science of numbers, mathematics, they pioneered everything and the foundation of mathematics that we used to do. Time of Pythagoras, the time of Euclid, and all those guys, they solved those equations. They help us to understand our world. Galileo and all of them. Now, you go to chemistry, study of substances that properties. Faraday, all of them, boys, they help us to understand compounds, elements, and the world we live. Go back to physics, the study of matter in relationship to energy. They also help us to understand all those things. Archimedes, those things. But you know what? Most of them died very poor. And most of them, when polio came, they died. Tuberculosis came, they died. They knew so much about compounds and elements, but they knew really nothing about vaccine. They could not invent vaccine. And when but all this pandemic came, they all died. But the people who lived here are not as smart. Of course, they built on the knowledge these people had. And they're able to create products. And now when pandemic came, they were able to make vaccine, which is a product. You can see the difference. Having knowledge without application on our knowledge doesn't really mean you're going to be fine, you have knowledge, but you still need to have products and services to go into the market to fit that specific friction. So imagine if the world was full of knowledge when COVID struck. Nobody had the ability to translate the knowledge we have in chemistry into chemistry and biology into the vaccine that they gave people because of COVID. There will be bad in the world. So that translation of idea, which is that invention, into products must be absolute for us to be interested. Because for us, that is really the most important thing. It's not the quality of your idea, because anybody can have an idea. So that's what separates companies. That's what separates nations. Then we also have absolute great company. We have awesome products and superior execution. There can never be a great company without products or great service or great products, depending on the one you. So no matter your branding, no matter your PRO, no matter whoever you're engaging, if you don't have a great product, all those things don't mean anything. And we want to see, as we speak with you, whether you believe in the supremacy that product wins empires. It's not a question of how you have fashioned started it. It's not how you have. It's about, do you believe that without the right product, you have no chance? So this brings a lot of humility. Because there are people, before they do anything, they have to go and hire all these PR agents. They go and spend a lot of money on advertisements. We're not saying that you shouldn't do that. But the issue that, what is it that you are promoting? If we think that product does not fit in, we will not be inclined to support that mission, because the product is the only thing that makes a company great. And for you to have great products, you need to be a great executor of that mission. And that's it. So this is our email at capital@tekedia.com. And we do have resources here for us to work with you. You can speak with Charles there, Namde, and all our community members. I think here we have about 600 people in our community. These are Africans and beyond companies that we pool resources to make this happen. So we'd like to have that partnership with you. So now let's get into the question and answer. I hope they can take some questions before we now go back to do more important things on your beautiful Saturday. Thank you so much, and thank you. So let's go straight to question and the answer. I think let's have your hand raised up. I think it's possible for that to happen. Yeah, or can you raise your hands up? I don't know, is it possible? How do they do that? Okay, let me know if anyone has any question. Yeah. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Adebayo, please. Go ahead. Please. You can unmute yourself, Adebayo. Boroji, you can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, thank you for all you are doing. My question is simple. Will you be able to invest in the open source project?
Yes, if we see how value will be captured in a very clear, simple way. Because most times open source projects is more of a continuum. It doesn't have an end date.
Exactly.
So,
but actually, this one has an ending.
Okay.
Oh, like yes. We're looking at building a blockchain that is built for Africa economies. This is for the integration of African diverse economies. That is what we want to do.
Okay, great. So if you send your website, we always like to start with a website. You don't even need to send a pitch deck. And one of the things we look at here is the logic of your fund. The logic is basically your business model. You want to do an open source blockchain-based project. We will ask ourselves, what is the logic? So we have an incredibly young lady there. She she makes that call even before it gets to us. She says, okay, great project, but how are they going to make money? Because one of the reasons why we like to ask a question is most of these foreign companies, they use free credit to create an imbalance in the markets. I mean, how is somebody going to compete with Amazon or Google as a cloud hosting company? I think there was a gentleman that we had a conversation this week. He's building a cloud computing company in Nigeria also. And it was I just say, hey, Amazon gives, through us, a company gets $100,000 free. $100,000.
Incredible.
That is free money. You don't lose equity, nobody asks you anything. How do you even compete against that? So we would like to see in that open source where that destination will be and how that business model can overcome that economic forge factor. I'm very, very sorry. We apologize that we are also used for this because they give us this credit to give our startups. But there's no way you're going to tell a startup, don't use the 100,000. He has to go and look for, she has to go and look for that 100,000. So we take it. But that is creating a market imbalance that, I mean, one struggled as a cloud hosting company has to sell to, is it Equinox or so? And it's part of it because it cannot match that. So I want to see how your own blockchain can match in that economic forge factor that they are using. Look at Uber. How can you compete against Uber on ride hailing? Look at what is going on in Kenya. Most of the Kenyan ride-hailing companies are struggling because Uber can be losing money in Africa in the next 10 years. It doesn't matter. So we have to pay attention. So I had an article in Harvard, and in that article in Harvard, I noted one thing. You don't go to compete with these multinational IT utilities. I call them utilities. They are like, go into your neighborhood, you need electricity, you need water. Those are utilities. In the world of technology, we also have utilities at Google, Amazon, and Microsoft and Co. How do you compete with them? You don't really compete with them. You have to find how to plug on top of them because the resources they have may be estimated. So we'd like to see how you are handling that. We do invest in that. Thank you. So we're expecting it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Let's go to David, please. David, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Professor. How are you doing? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Greetings.
Right. So I just have just one question. Is your company, is Tekedia open to investing in a beauty tech startup?
We invest. We're an agnostic of anything, provided there is a high dose of technology that will make it scalable. You know, there are two things here. First is that idea needs to have a market. Second thing, technology needs to bring productivity. Yeah. It is not every business that is venture backable. You can just have a company that you and your family will just have good money, make profit. But that does not mean that that business is good for an investor to go and give money because it cannot scale because of its structure. That means they are not going to get any value from it. But you should be fine as a family, just go and make money. So we want to see how scalable is that particular. How can technology help you to scale? If technology cannot help you to scale, maybe we just tell you look for somebody that can give you money for dividend because you're going to make profit. That is not good enough for a venture backable company. Because a venture backable company is totally different from a small man business or a small business because you are looking at growth that is rapid and bliss scale and a very, very short time.
That's right. Awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Prof. So, we are looking at doing something within the beauty tech space, and it's interesting because we've seen that market size is about $2 billion, and the online transaction value of this $2 billion is about $500 million, and we have seen a solution where that tech enables us to really help us to within a reasonable time period, really, to say, can we shoot for 5-10% of this online transaction value? right? Which brings us to about $50 million. And can we do that within 18 months? So, I mean, it's interesting. I think we would like to send a pitch deck to you. Right now, we're in MVP stage, right? I would like, beyond even you investing, I would like to have a sit down with you. So perhaps maybe you can provide us some guidance if even.
No problem. We'll be expecting it. Okay, great. So let's go to Obina. Sorry, I think Obina dropped his hand. Okay, do we still have any more questions, please? Let me check here. Okay, kindly confirm we can accept more. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Kessler, you said you couldn't hear. Okay, I'm not getting any. I think. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So if I don't know, people are asking how do they raise their hand. I think that is available on Zoom. It's under reactions. But if you can, you can speak since maybe in the next 5 minutes will be done. Go ahead.
Prof, my hand is off. Probably you're not seeing it.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Uchenna.
Okay. Good evening from here. And hello, everyone. Okay, Prof, I just want to ask. Mine is on education, on a research area. I just want to ask. I know that innovation is about commercialization, but we have at the moment we are operating at a service level, providing research support. But we have a product for which we've not actually developed yet. But looking at the service we provide, it could give a clear picture of where we are going in terms of the product. Just like the technology, or the product is like building up on top of our services that we are providing. Can your company look into such, or we must first develop that product part? It's actually edutech before you can come in.
No, we have given people money to register a company. Actually, we're giving people money to register a company. You don't even have to have gone far. I think we're giving people, I mean, they came, they didn't even have a cover to register the business. Okay, the money. The one that we invested in Congo DRC, I think most likely we gave them the first money to. So that's not the most important thing. Is if it's something we see clear value, we go at level. But the challenge is we don't usually like to get too deep into your proprietary data. So that if this thing doesn't work, so that you don't feel okay, I have told them we are honorable people here that we're not going to abuse anything you tell us. However, we also just want you to feel good. So if you are at that level where you've not even done anything and you are sharing that idea, we don't like it. Because what that means is either because of valuation or one reason or the other, we can't. It's like you said everything. I mean, we respect that. I mean, so we typically would like to say, what is it that you have in the public domain that we can independently assess if it's something of interest? So I would suggest at least go and have a website. And that website can give us what we're trying to do. If we now think makes sense, we can now ask for your pitch deck and things like that.
No, Prof, like at the moment on the service side of the business has been running up and running for like 3 years now. We have a website. We are almost on every, though we are not too, let's say, present in so many of these social media platforms, but we have account there. But on LinkedIn, we are there. We're posting. We're engaging from time to time.
Yeah,
so it's just a matter of that. What we're doing now is the service part of it. Then, actually, is that research all you saw? That research all. But sorry, apologies for that. Phantom AI recording is our auto recording this thing, but it doesn't actually record this kind of session. But apologies for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem. It's just like we want to respect people here so that they do not.
No, I understand.
They know that they gave us information. No problem. Okay. So send it, and Our next cycle actually is someone who asked about the next Tekedia is September, October 2024. Yeah. So let's go to Toby, please. Toby, go ahead.
So send it to where? To the Tekedia Capital.
No, I think I shared an email when I would just capital@tekedia.com. Capital please, you can also type it. Tekedia. Capital@tekedia.com.
Capital@tekedia.com. Okay.
Yeah. Or the email on the website where you pick the Zoom listing. Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, Toby, go ahead, please.
Yes, Professor, thank you so much for taking my question. Actually, I have a company in Nigeria, which we're into the palm kernel oil processing business. And we've been in the business pretty much processing palm kernels and supplying major refineries that transform it into vegetable oil. So that is not my question. However, due to our processing, we encountered some kind of a question whereby one of our waste material happens to be the palm kernel shells. And I actually happen to live in the US, and I happen to love to barbecue and grill. And I started doing a lot of research and discovered that instead of wasting these palm kernel shells, which is littered all over Africa, well, Nigeria to be specific, we can actually convert it into charcoal briquettes. So we did a lot of research, developed the products. We actually have an MVP product at the moment. And what we're looking into right now is how we can move that product to the US market for retail. So that's where we kind of need capital for. Producing yes.
Yeah,
producing the product in mass.
Okay.
And
so if we are to invest in that, we actually be focused on the tech, not necessarily on the downstream process. It's like someone wants to do palm oil business. We're not necessarily interested in the palm oil itself, rather in the technology that you have produced that will make it possible for people in the rural areas to use the technology to do the milling and then aggregating them. So think about it this way. What you want to do now, is it possible you go to a village in Akure, a village in Calabar, you drop your technology, and that village will use the technology to produce whatever you're expecting them to produce. Then every Friday, you send in a van, the van goes there to pick up the things. We see that model of aggregation as a more competitive position to improve your marginal cost, instead of you setting up clusters of thousands of staff, some in Calabar, some in Abuja, some everywhere in Nigeria. What are you doing? You have your milling, you have your cracking equipment, you have to. No, we don't want that. Because if you do that, you are now essentially in the wrong path of marginal cost. So, but breaking that technology innovation that will help those rural people to improve even by a factor of 0.8, whatever they are currently using, and you aggregate the outcome of whatever they are doing, we like that. In short, we like to follow the Dangote business model of the early 1980s. He went to Sudan. He will just at the planting season, he will give them money. He will give them the right tools. He will tell them, I'll come back during the harvest period and I'll come and buy your cotton. And whenever he will be there, every person will say, even if he says he's going to buy it at a discount, they will say, without him during the planting season, we'll not even have anything to sell. So those Sudanese farmers gave him practically, they saw him as a real. That was when Dangote was in cotton and Tesla. So that's the same thing. You provide technology that shapes. So we have this company called Relief. I don't know if I've heard of it. Relief. They do this palm oil stuff. There are major advantages that they have extremely great technology. These guys went to Duke Harvard or MIT or all these Ivy League, Dartmouth College, and they invented something in Calabar. And they are doing very, very well because their technology outperforms the local equivalent in a very great way. And using that technology, those villagers now work for them. They just create export market for palm oil, and that's what they do. They don't have to hire a lot of staff. They just have to have regional coordinators. The users actually do the work. Your own is just to put your brand on it. That's the kind of way we like.
Without actually trying to discredit Relief, I actually happen to know, or I actually happen to have the same equipment that they are using. So I know everything about the operation. And but that is only, I think that is only one aspect of what we're, focusing on here. Yeah. We're actually looking at converting the waste material to wealth, which they are not.
Yes.
And I mean, I'll be happy to have more conversation.
Yeah, let's have a conversation. But what I'm saying that conversion of that waste, we still want you to employ that aggregation model instead of you having to produce all the manpower required for it. Because if you have to do that in this labor kind of intensive, you are going to deteriorate your marginal cost efficiency to scale this business across many parts of Nigeria, because you are not going to get everything you need in one place. That's why this is a very interesting business. Unlike other things, you can't get everything. So you may need some from one village to the other. How are you going to bring them together? So let's have a conversation and see. We're actually interested in this type of business because your market is, America. That's the place where people buy things, they forget that they buy things because they have so much.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get it. Okay. So let's go for the next one. Kemi, go ahead. Kemi, go ahead. Thank you. Are you there? Okay, Kemi, are you there? Okay, it's like Kemi is better. We've already spoken, Debayo, right? Okay, let me just so that we can get out of here.
Hello, Kemi is here. Good evening.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you for this great opportunity. My own is I run a school for younger ones in Nigeria, crèche, nursery, and primary school. Our vision is to build future leaders. As we all know, my own vision is that the major problem we're having in this country is leaders. If you can have leaders, we'll have great nations. So we want to develop great minds of young ones to see themselves as leaders right from their tender age. But the school we started in 2019, and right now we are limited with funds. We really want to expand the school. Now we're on a what's it called, rented facility. So we want to expand to have our own facility and also to incubate with latest IT to be IT compliance. So I don't know if you can invest in the school, and I have a business plan. Maybe we'll talk later. So that is that from my hand.
Thank you so much. Interesting thing here is that schools are actually designed to be non-profit because the ability to venture back investment is always very high. But however, this is the kind of business that someone can invest and just focus on dividend. Maybe we recall when I was speaking. So what do I mean by dividend? So let's assume that in a year, you make a profit of 10 million naira. If somebody had invested and took 10% of the company, that means you send that person 1 million naira check as dividend for investment. But for a venture-backed firm, either a primary or secondary school, it's always tough because the rates of growth we expect, there's no way primary school or secondary school or even a nursery can sustain that. We're not, people that are doing this investment are not looking for 12% per year. They're looking for multiples. There was a company invested 2 years ago at less than $1 million. That company is worth $300 million today, 3 years. And there was one we did 2 years ago. That company is worth $450 million today. That's the kind of thing we're talking about here. We're not talking about invest and then we'll send you no. So we don't invest in this type of business because the growth is constrained. It's because it's a non-profit. You can't start charging people. See, let me explain it. A school is a place where you have 400 students looking for a space available for 30 students. You can't go beyond the 30. That means that that business cannot really be a natural business because it is, government has given you a license, you can't take more than 30 students in a class. So even if you have 100, you can't. So that's why it's more of a non-profit in a way, even though it's not registered as a non-profit. So what I would suggest you do is to look for people that invest for dividend and tell them, I'm going to run this business. I expect to make a profit of this. If you take 10% of my shareholding, I'm sure that every year I'm going to send you maybe 3 million, 4 million naira. That's how you, but don't try to think you can actually justify easily on a venture-backed fund. If you want to make it venture-backed, you now have to think, how can you set up 100 of these companies run by 100 independent people, all aggregated under your branch? So in that case, you have equivalent of this school in Zamfara, you have it in Abia, you have it in multiple places in Nigeria, all of them running on your template. You are the holding company controlling 100 of them. That in that case, you can be opening 10 schools every year or every 6 months. You are now venture backable. Do you understand the difference here?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
That does not mean that what you're doing is not good. What you're doing is perfect. It's a great vision, but it's not typically within the framework of venture backable entities. That's just the difference. Thank you. So let's take one more question so that people can go back to their families and do the most important thing. Yeah, Emeka, go ahead, please. Emeka, go ahead. Okay, if I may, okay.
Yeah, yes, I'm here. Hi, Prof.
Okay. Yeah.
Good evening. I believe you're in Nigeria, so I'll say good evening.
Greetings. Greetings.
Actually, what I wanted to find out, your associate editor had actually provided the information how to contact Tekedia Capital. But I just wanted to just commend you for what you are really, actually doing. You know, the drive and the passion to help entrepreneurs in Africa. You know, so it's just quite commendable. So we definitely will contact you because listening to you, I feel we are like the right fit in terms of innovation, in terms of economy of scope, the marginal cost you mentioned. So basically, we went into the HR, into the tech space. We have a number of SaaS products. One of them is commercialized. The other ones are going the non-commercial beta test at the moment. You know, so maybe, but from the information I already have from Tayo on how to contact Tekedia Capital, yeah, would surely, you know, but this is my first time of attending your program, and which I should have done before now. But listening to you,
that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, listening to you, I'm quite it's quite impressive what you're trying to do for Africa. You know, just to commend you. I'm
No
based
problem.
in
Thank
Lagos.
you.
I'm also based in Canada. You know,
Okay. Okay.
surely
Great.
will contact you. I'm quite impressive.
Okay.
Well done.
Nah, no problem. Thank you so much for the kind words. So maybe that was short. So I'm gonna leave here in that 2 minutes. Just make it 25 minutes past the hour. Ola, Lekon, please go ahead. Lekon, go ahead. Let's see if we can take that one. Round up. Lekon,
Hi,
go
Prof.
ahead. Hello, greetings.
It's my pleasure and good to see you here. This is the first time I'm going to attend your, your Zoom meeting, having meeting in the class with the like minds of business-minded Africa. I'm grateful for this opportunity. The last time I spoke with you was one-on-one with the opportunity I have in the Tekedia Institute. Although I have a personal schedule meeting with you this coming week, but I just want to use this one to commend your institute for the passion, for the selflessness, and the commitment you have in the African, young-minded individuals who have a great innovation to turn around the economy in the space of Africa. So my question, I want to ask this question, Prof, that how can one, now that one having an business idea that we are building up as an individual, please, how can one get the angel? I mean, what I mean is that you explain that these angels are those good who love good things, the good things lover. How can one have them access to them to venture into one's idea to make it a commercialized one and to impact Africa? So basically, my idea is in on solving the problem in time of energy, lack of energy in the community. So how can one?
I think I get a question. Let me say here, just understand that just like you're looking for investors,
Yes,
investors
sir.
are also looking for you.
Okay.
Never think that it's only one way. The investors have raised money and they have to invest the money. If they don't invest that money, the people who gave them money,
yeah,
not bring. So they are actually the ones that are really looking for you more than you're looking for. But the unfortunate thing here is there are many, many bad ideas which are looking for funds. And all you need to do is,
idea, you mean?
There are many bad ideas. There are just people, they lose their job. The next thing they do, they say they want to start a company. And they now, because why do we have more companies in Africa? It's because people don't have jobs. Any economy where there are many, many entrepreneurs, you can see that that economy doesn't have the ability for businesses to grow. In the real sense of it, how many people is Amazon employing? It's close to 1 million people. Walmart is more than 1 million people. If Walmart collapses to the Amazon collapses, you're going to have up to 2 million people in America without jobs. And most of them will go into trying to pay the bills. They will start something. If you go to your village in Nigeria and set up a company that can employ 10,000 people, you may realize that most of those men that are doing the agricultural stuff, most of the market women, they'll have a job. They won't do that. So just trying to set up a scenario where everything seems like you can't get opportunity just because Africa is biased towards limited opportunity. So people are actually trying to survive. But there is one thing that is constant. If your idea is great, they will discover you. You don't even need, they will discover you. And one of the things that will happen is that you even start disqualifying most of these investors. You start telling them, I don't need your money. I actually need your money, and you have to get me good customers. I mean, there was just one yesterday, Namdi sent, she said, no, I don't, my problem is no money. Can you get me 4 banks to sign up to my products? She's giving you terms and conditions, even though you are the one that's going to give her money. I'm telling you. So I don't think that it's only one way. And it's not that, it's not only that one way. So so that's just the point.
I'm grateful.
So no, Wahala, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, I think I wish I can share that. I think I can share that here that I see. They're looking for people who can connect them to players in the banking and insurance industry. That's what the lady wrote. So they are not even interested who will give them money, because the problem is not the money. Okay, thank you. I think we are off by 3 minutes. Those of our members who could not unfortunately drop your message, please, unfortunately, let's just, I think, okay, Tele, go ahead. Maybe 2 more minutes will be at. Tele, go ahead.
Good evening, Prof. I've been an ardent follower of you on LinkedIn. I'm so proud of you, of what you've been doing so far. Initially, I wrote a proposal already. I'm building a casino, and I want to leverage on the online space to have an online casino feed also through technology. So I wanted to ask if it's something that you are interested in, to have the online presence for the casino.
Okay. I am not sure I have seen it, but my team, maybe I'll get in touch with them. You can drop your email with Eitayo, and just to know the email that you sent it, they will look at it. I have not seen anything that.
Yeah, what I sent was actually the draft copy of the casino, the physical casino. I didn't really expatiate on the online presence.
No. I'm just saying that I've not seen anything on that. But if you drop your email, like I said, your website, if you drop your email, they can look it up. They will just look at a website. They like to begin from a website, just to respect IP a lot here.
I don't have a website here because the property is under construction.
Okay, you can wait until when you're ready then, so that they can see that. That's just a process here.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So let's take the last one. I think we have space here. Vivian, please. I think I have 1 minute. Go ahead, Vivian.
Hello, Prof. Good evening. Yeah. Thank you so much. I was in Tekedia's mini MBA 7 and 8. So lovely hearing from you once more. I have 2 questions. The first one is on Egoras. At that time, I didn't have liquidity, to invest in Egoras at the time. I think it was 1,000. And to look at the valuation on them, for example, now. So I wanted to ask, for example, their generator that uses gas and petrol. What kind of gas do they use? Do they use only LNG, or do they also use like biomass produced gas?
No, they use cooking gas. I think they use cooking gas actually.
Just cooking gas. And can that be produced by other sustainable sources? Like I think the palm kernel brisket guy was saying, converting all our waste product into giving them a second life, if that makes sense. So would that be?
I think the most important thing there is not the tech, is the availability of the gas. So they just want to build something that, just the same way you go and buy cooking gas for your home, for your home cooker, let you also go and buy just that. So I think that's really the main philosophy behind their use of LPG gas, which is the cooking gas. Just not the tech, because there are more places you can buy cooking gas than any other type of gas. And if you already figure out how to buy cooking gas for your stove at home, you can also buy the same for your generator. So that's why they decided to go to LPG.
Thank you so much, Prof. And then the second question is for us that are interested in purely investment. How does Tekedia Capital go about it? Do we invest? Is it only in stock of a particular company, or is it like an index fund? These are the 10 companies that we've chosen this cycle. So you're investing in all of them. Just a quick, brief process of how investing in Tekedia Capital goes.
So, so great. So if you have, let's say, 5, 10 companies, you can decide to invest in all of them, or you can decide to invest in a few. We also making it like a kind of a mutual fund where even if you don't have money to invest in maybe 10 of them, let's say we have 10 companies, any amount you bring in, we can figure out that you have exposure in all the companies. So we're introducing that in this September 1, and it looks like a mutual fund. I think that's what our members ask for.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prof, and do have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you. And so I think we have just answered.
So, Prof, sorry, before we go.
Yeah. Okay,
this is Folakemi once again. Like the last investment, I couldn't because I didn't have much. But like you said, like what's the minimum? Because the last one was about 3 million. The last investment was about 3 million. So this one.
Yeah. So actually, we're not necessarily so rigid on that, because most of the time now we have more money than we can give the startup. So that's the problem. So we don't have to worry about that. If anytime you're ready, just ask Christian Co. They should. We are very flexible on that. Yeah, we're very flexible. So that's the minimum should not be an issue, because of there are a lot of members in the community, which makes it easy to manage that.
Oh, okay. Please, I didn't get that. Anytime I'm ready, I can get in touch.
Yeah. Anytime what you have, I think they will find a way to accommodate that.
Oh, that would be perfect. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So let's have a great afternoon and great evening. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies, for spending your time with us at Tekedia Capital. And we hope that we will all go into the market and profit together. Wonderful. Good evening. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.